Hey guys, Zoia from Storm here. I just wanted to give you my quick first impressions on the patch notes. I will be looking at the Heroes Nexus patch notes because apparently the Blizzard official ones are missing a little bit of information, mainly the biggest change in the patch to me, which is the Muradin change. And there's also some things the Heroes Nexus one is missing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the one that's missing. Structures now do 50% more damage to heroes. That overall is going to stop those obnoxious level 1 pushes we see where people just take the whole fort for free sometimes, where we see forts get taken very easily. It'll still be possible with Sylvanas, of course, but with those obnoxious level 1 trades, or even like just in the lane phase in general, where you see a 3-man push and they get a fort or tower so easily. This is hopefully going to stop that, as well as another change to structures where you can no longer make them vulnerable, which means, I believe, things like Cold Embrace and Northern Exposure won't apply to structures. So, nice nerf to those talents, I guess, because being able to like potentially end, because those things also worked on core as well, being able to get that damage amplification. So really good changes to the structures. We have Li-Ming here. She's going to be the newest hero, hopefully playable right now on the PTR. I'm downloading it as we speak. I'm not going to go break down each of her talents. The two things I want to point out is A, her talent tree in general. There are no generic talents. 100% of her talents are hers. No one has these talents. That's an awesome thing for hero development in the future. As the generic talents, they're helpful. For new players, like, oh, I take cleanse on Uther all the time. That's great. I'm playing Rhaegar now. I can take cleanse. It's something I'm comfortable with, so that helps that, but it also gets to the point where it's boring, where, there was a meta where we were seeing Protective Shield on every single support. We were seeing, Envenom taken on every single assassin. Bolts of the Storm gets still taken on everybody, so it's really cool to see these talent changes, or, not talent changes, but her own unique kit. That is awesome. Second thing to note is her heroics. Both of them are 20-second cooldowns. Jake called it. They're going to be super short, but... yeah, it was super hyped at the resets. When you think about like 60 to 90-second heroics, which is the average, those get reset instantly off a kill. Yeah, that's really hype. Still with 20 seconds, that's still going to be really awesome in team fights. Until I see her, we don't know where she's going to fall. I think she's going to be great, though, just based off how good her kit is. If the numbers are there, her kit is good enough to make her viable. So, really cool about these talents. I'm not going to go break down each of the talents like I said. But I'm really hyped for her. She's going to be cool. Just some new mounts, new skins and stuff. Abathur buff, crazy. I can't believe they're buffing Abathur. He's so good already. Just damage to Q and W buff. There's small buffs. Not going to be too impactful, like to make him more viable, but he was already a good hero, already difficult to deal with. I love the ultimate monstrosity, evolve monstrosity rather. Change. You just hit R and you cast symbiote on your monstrosity. Just nice quality of life change. Not too much to talk about. Arthas there, just cooldown increased 100 seconds, more damage. Not enough to change him. Chen, I'm assuming this heroic replaces Panda Pals. It's got the same logo. Elemental Conduit. I guess based off how it reads, it's just a passive that's always on. Anytime you use an ability, you summon an Elemental Spirit to fight for you for 4 seconds. You can only have one spirit at a time. I love Chen. He's a great hero. He's one of my favorites to watch. Hopefully this makes him more viable. And I wonder how intricate the elemental spirits are going to be, similar to how Twisted Fates cards work. Maybe if if there's a set order to when the conduits spawn, which in order, like if the fire one is next, whatever elements they are, and the fire one is great in team fights, or the air one is great at clearing mercs, maybe players will be like timing those out to help them, do things, maybe. It just depends on how, involved and how impactful the elemental spirits are. Because, with the Punishers, there are 3 types of Punishers: Molten, Arcane, and Frozen. And there's a clear difference between them. And, Arcane Punisher is considered the best one by a lot. So, really, if they have a similar effect to that with these, it could be add some really cool strategy. No big deal with the Diablo changes. ETC got a stage dive buff. Tempest Storm was already running ETC stage dive. We saw him busted out at eSports Arena. It's a nice buff to it. I don't know how I feel about the Falstad Hinterlands Blast change. 90-second cooldown to a 2-minute cooldown is a huge duration increase, that cooldown, but it's a big damage buff as well. I don't think this is enough to see Hinterlands Blast. I think Mighty Gus might be one of the best heroics in the game right now, so I don't know if that's the damage. I mean, it's probably in the same place as before. Maybe worse, just because 120 seconds is such a long time. Gaul got a damage buff. I already felt that Cho Gaul was on the verge of competitive viability, to the point that, not to where you'd see him every game, but in certain compositions on certain maps, he would have a spot. So with the damage buffs to Gaul, we might start seeing him. No big deal with the Gazlo changes. Not too impressed with the Greymane changes. Falling Sword, just reduce cooldown. Bless Shield's still a short cooldown, does great initiation, so I don't think we're going to see Falling Sword picked. Nice quality of life change with Kerrigan. When an enemy unit dies within a second and a half of Ravage being used on it, it resets the cooldown. It's more like Asmodan stacks where you don't actually have to stack perfectly. Lili change, I'm really curious about this. When you get Kung Fu Hustle at 20, like how much will having like 3 or 4 serpents on someone do? So, cool. Lunara changes, I don't know if they're enough to make her viable. Her main issue, I mean, they're definitely not enough to make her viable. Her main issue is her auto attacks and how she stutter steps. It's very difficult to use, so until that change, no big deal. Another mouth buff. This is the biggest change in the patch right here from Muradin. He's a health increase on Avatar, which should be nice, but he no longer auto attack stuns when in Avatar. That might be enough. I think it is enough to make him not the best warrior in the game anymore. I mean, we see teams like Cloud9 first pick him. I don't know if we're going to see that anymore. That's huge. I mean, being able to catch people, slow them for your teammate to catch up with the stuns. Even with Stim Drone on him, it's just almost a perma stun. Yeah, being able to interrupt things like Ravenous, being able to get a Divine Shield and go interrupt a Mosh Pit if Storm Bolt's down. Things like that are huge. His kit's still really good. He's got great mobility. He's got great, versatility when it comes being able to still auto attack and stuff with Thunderclap. He's got a great stun, a ranged stun that can hit multiple targets if you talent into it. His kit's great, but I don't think he'll fall off. But I think this is enough to knock him off of the best warrior slot. I don't think we'll see first pick Muradins anymore. Nova nerf. She no longer does one-shot. She can't do the one-shot play anymore. Snipe nerf got a lot of damage done. So, okay, Nova. Rhaegar, best support in the game now, hands down. Like, China already picked Rhaegar more in Gold League than any other support. Yes, Uther was banned out a lot as well. So if you look at bans, I think Uther might have more numbers overall in frequency. But Rhaegar was the most played support in Gold League. They basically gave him Feral Lunge into his kit, starting at level 1. You don't have to talent into it. It's just part of his mount now. Allows him to be more aggressive in lane, allows him to secure kills, allows him to reposition himself so very well to get in range to either heal targets or kite. If there's minions behind you, you can Feral Lunge too. Chain Heal got a buff. Heals for more. And then his 13 talents got a buff as well. Earth Shield, 15% maximum health is a huge shield. I mean, that might be enough to make him viable. Or make that talent viable, but even Tidal Waves, which was the go-to talent at 13 already, got a buff. You no longer have to heal 3 heroes to reduce the cooldown by 30 seconds. It's just 1 second off the cooldown for every hero you heal. So that's just like a buff, because sometimes you're not going to hit 3 targets with Chain Heal. So you won't get the cooldown reduction. I mean, that's just he's going to be great. He's going to be the best support in the game. Even with the Ancestral Healing nerf, 10 seconds increased cooldown. He is going to be so good now. BFG buff, just slight damage. Still probably seeing Napalm Strike. I mean, that's not slight damage. It's 100 damage. It's a pretty big buff. I don't know if it's enough to see, though. It's a long cooldown. And Napalm Strike's just so good. Seismic Slam. Nerf. Might be enough to make Thrall the best bruiser. Melee assassin type play. So, we'll see. No real changes to Sylvanas. I don't understand the Uther change as well at all. I don't understand it, so if someone in chat wants to explain it to me, if I'm like just really dumb or something. But I don't get the Uther change. Zeratul buff. Ridiculous. Shadow Assault's going to be insane. 45-second cooldown. Might make that the go-to heroic. I'm like being legit. Might make that the go-to heroic. The damage buff. Mix that with Abathur buff. Abathur Zeratul just got a buff. Hello? Okay, well, that's my thoughts on the balance changes. If there's anything that gets changed or added that's just not in this, I'll post comments down below. But these are my first thoughts, guys. I'm excited to go play the Wizard right now. on the PTR. So I'm going to go do that. But thanks everyone for watching. Again, leave any questions or comments, or if I'm just wrong about things, like if I just like completely misread something, leave them in the comments. I'll respond down below. But overall, I like this patch a lot, man. I'm really shocked at the Muradin nerf, but I like the change. I hope it's really cool. I'm really excited for it, man. I hope that's enough to make them viable. It sounds fun. So again, thanks everybody for watching this video. Check up a Storm. Big shout out to all these guys, for those guys for giving us the house to live in and all the great stuff. Make sure you go to tempostorm.com, check out our guides, as well as go to Into the AM where you can buy these awesome Tempo Storm clothes. That one's the one that's got the TS symbol on it. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in.
If you're going to an objective with low mana, you're basically showing up as a glorified minion who can only contribute basic attacks and soak a little bit of damage.